has succeeded, Captain. Conduit shielding is destabilizing.
Now, Mr. Tuvok.
Voyager will be destroyed.
They're ahead of the shockwave. They'll survive. Captain Janeway and I made sure of that. It's you who underestimated us.
Sphere 634. They can still hear my thoughts. And they have assimilated your pathogen. But I also assimilated your armor technology. Captain Janeway is about to die. If she has no future, you will never exist. And nothing that you've done here today will happen.
What the hell is it?
A transwarp aperture. It's less than a light year from Earth.
How many Borg vessels?
We can't get a clear reading, but the graviton emissions are off the scale.
I want every ship in range to converge on those coordinates now.
Yes, Admiral.
Aft armor is down to 6%. Hull breaches on deck 6 through 12. I can't stay ahead of them, Captain. The armor is failing. Where's the nearest aperture?
Approximately 30 seconds ahead. But it leads back to the Delta Quadrant.
Mr. Paris, prepare to adjust your heading.
Yes, ma'am.
We've got 18 ships in position. 9 more on the way.
Open a channel.
Open, sir.
This is Admiral Paris. Use all necessary force. I repeat, all necessary force.
Sir, there's a vessel coming through.
Mr. Paris, what's our position?
Right where we expect it to be.
The transwarp network has been obliterated, Captain.
We'll celebrate later. Mr. Tuvok.
Ceasefire.
We did it.
We're being hailed.
On screen. Sorry to surprise you. Next time we'll call ahead.
Welcome back.
It's good to be here.
How did you...
It'll all be in my report, sir.
I look forward to it.
Thanks for your help, Admiral Janeway.
Sick bay to the bridge. Doctor to Lieutenant Paris. There's someone here who'd like to say hello.
You better get down there, Tom.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chakotay. The helm.
Aye, Captain.
Set a course. For home.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Jamestown. Its continuing mission. To explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations. To boldly go where no one has gone before. Come in.
Captain, you wish to see me?
Yes, Commander. Please take a seat. Have you had a chance to review our mission parameters and personnel files, Commander?
I have, Captain. I must say, your choice in senior staff is most unique. Might I ask how you picked them above the other candidates?
The other candidates were all skilled. However, none of them seemed to have character.
Character, Captain?
Meaning they all stuck to the book, as if it was their lifeline. The candidates I have selected have all had an incident or two with previous commanding officers or posts.
Promoting reckless behavior and insubordination among your senior officers is not logical, Captain.
It's not a matter of promoting reckless behavior, Commander. It's the fact that in all the incidents, the candidates debated with their commander over a decision they thought was wrong.
I'm not sure I understand.
Commander, I don't want a bunch of trained robots for senior staff. If they have an original idea or feel one of my orders is contradictory to the safety of the ship and crew, I want to be told that they think I'm wrong.
You are implying that you intend to make mistakes, Captain.
No, Commander. What I am saying is that I know I'm not perfect, and I will be relying on my senior staff to point that out should I make a mistake.
I understand, Captain.
Very good, Commander. Now I believe that we should be
Bridge to Captain Kennedy.
Captain here. Go ahead, Lieutenant.
Captain, there's a Priority 1 message from Starfleet Command waiting for you.
Put it through in my quarters, Lieutenant.
Aye, Captain.
Admiral, a pleasure, as always.
Captain Kennedy, it's wonderful to see you again. How are you settling in?
She's not Voyager, but she feels welcoming.
Glad to hear it, Captain. However, I have some news that pertains to your mission.
Sounds serious.
Before conducting your first test of the quantum slipstream drive, You are to divert to Romulus, where you are to pick up the Romulan ambassador.
Are we delivering him somewhere in particular, Admiral?
He's going to be remaining aboard the Jamestown.
Admiral, we're to bring him with us.
May I respectfully ask why, Admiral?
In the interest of preserving the peace, the Federation and Romulan governments have agreed to send a representative from Romulus with you to report on our handling of long-range deep space settlements.
And to probably make sure that we aren't planning on using the Delta Quadrant as a base to create an armada to wipe out the Romulan Empire.
While that may be an underlying factor, we didn't have much choice in the matter.
Meaning the diplomats shoved this decision down Starfleet's throat.
That's an accurate assumption. That all being said, Captain, those are your new orders.
Acknowledged, Admiral. We'll arrive at Romulus within 24 hours after we launch.
Very good. And good luck, Captain. Starfleet out.
Thank you, Admiral. Jamestown out. Well, this mission certainly just became more interesting.
Indeed. Shall we head up to the bridge, Captain?
After you, Commander.
The last of our construction supplies and food stores were delivered this morning.
Which means we can launch at any time.
Correct, Captain. I assume we shall be launching momentarily?
You assume correctly.
Bridge.
Finally, the moment is nearly upon us.
May I take a moment to remind the Captain that our new drive systems have not been...
Commander, if I may, you are ruining the moment.
Apologies, Captain, though I'm not sure what the moment is, or rather was.
I'll explain it later.
Captain on the bridge.
As you were.
Captain, Dreadnought control signals, they are standing by, and they are ready to cut us loose on your order.
Tactical systems are on standby, Captain.
Sickbay reports that all systems are ready. Engineering and sensor systems are also registering as ready, Captain.
Captain, all stations report ready for launch.
Very well. Clear all moorings, thrusters at station keeping.
Aye, Captain. Thrusters at station keeping. Moorings retracted. We are free of space dock.
Take us out easy, Lieutenant. 1/4 impulse power.
1/4 impulse. Aye, sir. We are free and clear to navigate.
Very good, Lieutenant. Set course for Romulus. Warp 8.
Aye, sir. Course plotted and laid in.
Engage.
Warp 8 achieved. ETA to Romulus, 20.2 hours, Captain.
Very good. Attention, crew of the USS Jamestown. This is Captain Felicia Kennedy. As many of you know, today is an important day for many of us, and that is the chance to explore and settle in the most hostile region of space that we currently know of. While many of you here are assigned to the construction battalion that will be assembling Starbase Delta 1, I want to remind you that you are in fact aboard a starship. Until such time as Starbase Delta 1 is completed, you will be given assignments to carry out aboard ship. Also, our initial test of the quantum slipstream drive has been delayed. Our current orders are to proceed to Romulus and pick up the Romulan ambassador. The ambassador will be accompanying us on our voyage to the Delta Quadrant. She is merely an observer, learning as much about Starfleet colonization protocols and diplomatic situations. I know that many people aboard ship do not trust the Romulans fully. However, that being said, she will be given full diplomatic courtesy. Any incidents will not be tolerated. That is all. Captain Kennedy out.
All right, you heard the captain, everyone. She wants the ship ready for Delta Quadrant transport before we reach Romulus. I'll be taking Engineering Team Alpha to the quantum slipstream drive compartment, and we're going to begin prepping the drive for use. Lieutenant Zell will be accompanying us to make sure that the quantum and physical coordinates are correctly placed into the computer. Stevens, I'm leaving you in charge.
You're absolutely sure this thing is safe?
As safe can be. It's offline.
Which means that we're going to be powering it up shortly, and that means I won't feel so safe.
Starfleet R&D certified it as safe.
And is Starfleet R&D here when it's actually going to be used?
Point taken. However, you can't let a bit of pre-experimentation jitters get to you.
I'll take your word for it. You've been around the thing more than I have.
Well, there she is, the quantum slipstream drive.
It's no bigger than a shuttlecraft.
You expected something larger?
Much larger.
Size isn't everything.
But you'd think a drive able to warp us to the Delta Quadrant and back in a week's time? It'd be much larger than this.
Well, considering the thing runs on a form of both Romulan and Federation technology, it's bound to be small.
Wait, Romulan tech?
You didn't notice the fact that a few of our crew are Romulan?
I honestly thought they were Vulcan.
No, they're Romulan. Ever since Commander Riker secured the Shinzon Accords with the Romulans, Starfleet's been accepting Romulans into the Academy.
It's going to be hard to keep track of who's Vulcan and who's Romulan.
Aye, though I have a good idea how to do that.
And that'd be?
Simple. The Romulans will be the ones who'll laugh at our jokes.
Bridge to Captain Kennedy.
Kennedy here. Go ahead.
Captain, we're approaching Romulus. ETA, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Lieutenant. I'm on my way.
Lieutenant Tran, take us out of warp. Full impulse power until we reach Romulus, then establish a geosynchronous orbit.
Aye, Commander. Disengaging warp drive now.
Captain on the bridge.
As you were. Status report.
We're approaching Romulus, Captain. ETA 2 minutes to orbit.
Commander Wiseman, open a channel to the Romulan High Command.
Aye, Captain. Opening a channel. I have Praetor Lesant on the channel, Captain.
Praetor Latant. Captain Felicia Kennedy of the USS Jamestown. It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
Captain Kennedy, I am Praetor Latant, and I welcome you to Romulus.
Thank you, Praetor. The Admiral informed me that the Romulan government would like us to bring along a Romulan ambassador to our mission in the Delta Quadrant.
That is correct, Captain. The rest of the senators feel that if we are to continue to have relations with the Federation, we must learn more about your missions and how they are conducted.
You sound as if you have other reasons.
That is correct. My reason is that I want to send someone with you, so as to give a sign of good faith that I am willing to work with you in this endeavor. I also wish to know whether or not the Romulan crew you have aboard are being treated fairly.
If it's a conflict you're worried about, Praetor, it's a long mission. But that being said, if there are any conflicts, it will be dealt with in accordance with the guidelines given to me by Starfleet Command and the Romulan government. There will be no prejudices aboard my vessel.
Then there will be no problem, Captain. Ambassador Rattay is prepared to beam aboard your vessel now. I wish you good luck on your mission. Latant out.
And he didn't even invite us to tea.
Contacted by the Praetor himself. Captain, you must be very well liked in the Romulan High Command.
Or he has a job to do. Speaking of which...
Sorry, sir. I have Ambassador Rattay's coordinates.
Good. I'll be in Transporter Room 2. You have the bridge, Commander.
Aye, Captain. Shall I set course for the Hyrillian sector once the ambassador is aboard?
Yes, I want to be underway as soon as possible.
Aye, Captain. I have the comm.
Deck 7, Transporter Rooms. Now that's one step out of the way.
Scott to Captain Kennedy.
Kennedy here. What is it, Mr. Scott?
I wanted to let you know that the quantum slipstream drive is powered up and passes all safety checks.
That is fantastic news, Mr. Scott.
Lieutenant Zell will have the final computations for our first test jump in a few minutes.
And she is absolutely 110% sure that her computations are correct. We can't afford to screw this up.
She's as sure as she can be, Captain. This is an experimental device after all. There's a margin of error for everything on this ship.
That includes the phase shift generator in the dermal regeneration room as well?
I am more worried about the phase generator than the quantum slipstream drive, Captain. if that tells you anything.
Indeed it does, Mr. Scott. I trust my chief engineer and her legacy of miracle working.
I do take after my grandfather.
Well, I'm sure he's proud of you.
That he is, Captain, that he is.
Very good, Mr. Scott. Is that all?
Aye, sir, that is all. Scott out.
Welcome aboard the USS Jamestown, Ambassador Rattay.
Thank you, Captain Kennedy.
I apologize for the delay, but we weren't informed but a few hours ago about your assignment to our ship.
The High Command doesn't exactly have a normal sense of timing. The request was put in last minute after all.
Well, I assure you that it will most likely be the last time anyone informs you of a decision or request at the last minute.
I will be very appreciative of that, Captain.
If you'll follow me, I'm heading back up to the bridge.
I would be happy to, Captain. Just one quick question.
Very well, go ahead.
You wouldn't happen to have some of that AF beverage I've heard so much about, would you?
There are hundreds. You'll need to be a bit more specific about that, Ambassador.
I believe that I heard it to be called root beer, perhaps? Some kind of pleasure drink.
The food replicator can make pretty much anything, and that is definitely in our computer database.
That is absolutely fantastic. After you, Captain.
This way, Ambassador. You know, you're not quite what I expected, Ambassador.
Oh, and what were you expecting, Captain?
Forgive me if I seem rude, but all the Romulans I have interacted with have seemed...
Aggressive?
Yes, aggressive.
It's understandable that you'd assume that, Captain, but no. I embrace the idea of peaceful interaction until aggression is called for.
You sound more like a human than a Romulan, Ambassador.
I shall try to take that as a compliment, Captain.
Deck 1, bridge.
I must say, Captain, the Jamestown is rather impressive.
The first of her kind, highly experimental.
I was told you're holding enough crew and cargo to establish permanent settlement in the Delta Quadrant.
That is correct. The Jamestown's mission is to spend approximately 6 months in the Delta Quadrant. We're to set up both a colony on a habitable planet and a starbase in orbit.
As bold as the plan is, what do you intend to do with the Borg?
The area of the Delta Quadrant that we have picked isn't located anywhere near the Borg border. Actually, we're aiming for the very edge of the Delta Quadrant, close to home, but definitely well inside the Delta Quadrant.
I see. Well, that is reassuring, to say the least.
Captain on the bridge.
As you were. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce Ambassador Rattay of Romulus. She will be accompanying us on our mission to the Delta Quadrant. She will be acting as both Federation and Romulan diplomatic officer.
That means you get to sit in the comfy chair on the left.
Shran.
Well, excuse me.
While he is correct, Ambassador, you must remember to...
adhere to Federation guidelines on all diplomatic matters? I know, Captain.
I see. Once again, welcome aboard, Ambassador.
The pleasure is mine, Captain.
If you'll take your seat, Ambassador.
Thank you, Captain.
Mr. Shran, set a course for the Hyrulan sector.
Aye, Captain. Course plotted and laid in. Easy to the Romulan sector.
Position report, Lieutenant Shran.
We're coming up on the Romulan sector now, Captain.
Lieutenant, full stop.
Sensors show the sector is clear of all ships and space bodies. However, sensors are detecting some sort of rift in space directly in our path.
Lieutenant Zell, begin an analysis. I want to know if that rift will cause us any problems.
Stand by, Captain. Sensors are having trouble locking onto the rift. It seems to have both spatial as well as dimensional properties.
Lieutenant, please explain.
The rift exists both in our dimension and another simultaneously. It's similar to a wormhole. If we were to fly through the rift, we would instantly be transported to another universe.
You're referring to alternate universes?
Precisely, Captain.
This is a very rare phenomenon. As far as I'm aware, Only the crew of the Enterprise, Excelsior, and Deep Space Nine have ever crossed into an alternate reality.
If I may remind the captain, that is not our mission.
I haven't forgotten, Commander. Wiseman, report this finding to Starfleet Command. Another ship will have to examine this rift. Our own mission is waiting.
Aye, Captain. Opening a channel with... That's odd. I can't seem to get through to Starfleet Command, Captain.
Probably due to the spatial interference the rift is throwing off.
Very well. Launch a message buoy. It may take a little while for the buoy to be picked up by anyone at Starfleet, but it's the best we can do.
Message buoy launched, Captain.
Good. Kennedy to Scott.
Scott here, Captain.
Mr. Scott, ship status.
The ship is operating at 100%, Captain. We're as ready as we're going to be.
Fantastic news, Mr. Scott. Stand by.
Aye, Captain.
This is it, people. From this point onward, there's no turning back. We're venturing into an area of space where no one has gone before. There will be many challenges to face, and we shall face them together.
Or we're gonna die trying.
Let's hope it doesn't go that far. Mr. Scott, activate the quantum slipstream drive.
Aye, Captain. Bring in the drive online now.
Connections confirmed. Power increase at 55%.
Our warp field is beginning to expand.
Shran, keep us out of the range of that rift. We don't know what our expanded warp field will do to it.
Compensating now, Captain.
Distance to rift, 300 kilometers.
Drive charge now at 75%, Captain.
Warp field expansion continuing, now at 40 kilometers around the ship.
Report on hull status.
No change in hull temperature or stress levels. The drive is operating as intended.
Charge now at 85% and increasing.
Shran, take us to Warp 8. We've got to start building up speed.
Aye, sir. Proceeding to Warp 8.
Status on the...
Captain, the rift. I don't know how, but it's following us.
Yellow alert. Zell, get me more information.
Charge is at 95%, Captain.
I think that our warp field is acting as a magnet to the rift. We're literally pulling it across space.
If we disengage the drive, do you think the magnet effect will dissipate?
Unknown, Captain.
Captain, we cannot deactivate the drive now. Once past 90%, the drive remains online. It would take nearly an hour to shut down completely and vent the excess quantum energy.
Alternatives.
Execute the mission as intended. When we transfer it into slip space, the rift will be left behind.
Zell?
Aye, Captain. It could work, but we need to move fast. The rift is closing in on us.
Time until we can transfer to slip space?
1 minute 30 seconds, Captain.
The rift will intercept us in 45 seconds, Captain.
Increase to Warp 9.
Intercept in 1 minute 20 seconds.
Mr. Scott, can you decrease the final charge time?
Negative, Captain. Any additional power to the drive and we'll go up like a nova.
We're going to cut this very close.
Intercept in 50 seconds.
Increase speed to Warp 9.5.
Captain, the warp engines alone aren't built for that kind of speed.
We only need to keep it up for a short while.
Intercept in 1 minute 30 seconds.
Keep the speed up until the slipstream drive is brought online, then immediately transfer to slip space.
The slip space corridor is beginning to form, Captain.
All hands, stand by to enter slip space.
Charge at 97.3%.
The rift is once again gaining speed. Intercept in 35 seconds.
I can't stay ahead of the rift, Captain.
Captain, the rift is...
Status report.
Main sensors down, Captain.
Weapon systems are offline. Shields are holding, but barely.
Emergency power has been automatically engaged, Captain.
Let's get some lights on in here.
Emergency lights are coming online now, Captain.
Where's Ambassador Rattay?
I'm here, Captain. But I think my leg is broken.
Commander, see to the Ambassador. Bridge to Scott. Mr. Scott, come in. This is the bridge.
Internal communications are also down, Captain.
Wiseman, get down to the drive room and assess the situation down there.
On the way, Captain.
I have partial helm control. Impulse and warp drive are offline, compensating with thrusters.
Partial sensors have been restored, Captain.
Scan the area. I want to know where we are.
We're limited to local system scans only, Captain.
Do what you can. Report when ready.
Within scanning range, I can detect 4 planets. 1 Class M, third from the Sun.
Any sign of ships or star bases?
Negative, Captain. For now, the local space appears to be empty, except for us.
Shran, plot a course for the third planet. Best possible speed.
Aye, Captain. Best I can give you is full thrusters.
Do your best. Zell, just before slipspace, you were trying to say something about the rift.
I thought that I saw in the sensors the rift was intercepting with us at the exact same moment that we entered slipspace.
So we could have been transported to an alternate reality, and we wouldn't even know it, would we?
Unfortunately correct, Captain.
One more possible issue to deal with.
We're coming into visual range of the planet now, Captain.
On screen.
That's impossible.
Scan the system again, Zell.
Zell, if this is some sort of sick joke...
It's not!
Relax, we're not in trouble yet.
Captain, I've confirmed our location. Sector 001, the Sol System.
Open a channel to Starfleet Command.
The channel is open, Captain. However, nobody's answering.
Try the emergency bands.
I have, Captain. Twice.
Scan the planet. I want to know what's going on down there.
Captain, I'm not picking up any signs of Starfleet Command or the Federation government chambers.
What can you pick up?
We're picking several hundred transmissions up using old 22nd century technology. I can't explain it.
Can you clean them up and give us a general idea of what's going on?
It'll take some time, Captain.
Just be quick about it, Lieutenant.
There are several frequencies here, Captain, that I don't recognize.
Scott to Bridge.
Bridge here. Good to hear internal communications are back online.
Captain, the quantum slipstream drive is completely blown out. That trip we just had fried half of the internal workings of the device. And that's not even including the singularity. That's simply gone.
Ignore the drive, Mr. Scott. I want you to organize damage control teams. Get our engine and defensive systems online.
Aye, Captain. Scott out.
Shran, adjust your course. Take us behind the moon.
The moon, Captain?
Until we determine where, when, and what happened here, we need to remain as anonymous as possible.
The heavy metallic core of the moon will act as a sensor blocker.
Aye, Captain. Setting course for the moon now.
Captain, I'm picking something up on a low-band frequency. I believe it is on an old Starfleet frequency. However, I won't be able to determine exactly which frequency until we're in orbit around the moon.
Keep at it. Any information that we can get will help us in the short and long run.
Aye, Captain. I'll work on it as fast as I can. However...
What was that?
We're under attack!
Red alert! All hands to battle stations.
Shields aren't responding, Captain, and the armor system is only responding 50% operational.
Hull breach on Deck 12, sections 22 through 30.
Helm, evasive pattern, Delta 5.
Wiseman, are the phaser defense turrets still online?
Operational, however auto-targeting is offline.
Have tactical teams manually operate them.
Zell, are sensors able to tell who is attacking us?
Nothing specific. However, I have ascertained where the weapons fire is coming from. There is a small lunar defense system in place. Our long-range sensors were unable to pick it up due to it being offline.
Helm, move us away from the moon. Get us out of weapons range.
Sensors indicate an incoming contact from outside sensor range, bearing 195 Mark 22.
On screen.
That's impossible.
Vessel identifies as Romulan Shrike-class cruiser.
Romulan ships? Here?
Captain, in our current state...
Is the Romulan ship prepared for combat?
Aye, Captain. Sensors show that the Romulan vessel is ready for combat.
Divert power to the torpedo systems. Helm, come about bearing 195 Mark 22.
Turn directly into the jaws of death! Fantastic!
Not the time, Shran. Change our heading. Wiseman, load torpedo base.
Port armor down to 75%.
Ventral phasers, fire.
Enemy shields down to 55%. They're coming about.
With only one shot from our phasers? That's impossible!
Photon torpedoes, lock on and prepare to fire.
Damage to secondary hull. Deck 4, Section 19. Hull breaches, decks 3, 7, and 8. Emergency force fields are in place.
Dispatch medical teams to those decks.
The Romulan ship is consistently targeting our port side. Our armor is weakest there.
Starboard roll. Fire phasers and torpedoes as they cross in front of us.
Aye, Captain. Executing starboard roll.
Romulan ship disabled, Captain. And they are hailing.
Damage report.
No casualties, but sickbay reports injuries coming in from all over the ship.
Weapon systems are undamaged. Shields are still offline.
Are we still outside the lunar base's weapon range?
Aye, Captain.
Very well. Open hailing frequencies.
You have violated the sovereign territory of the Empire. Identify yourselves immediately.
I'm Captain Felicia Kennedy, commanding the Federation's starship Jamestown. What do you
Your attack upon this vessel will serve as a declaration of war against us, Captain. Be warned that we will not stop until your ship is destroyed.
They're turning and fleeing at sublight, Captain.
Shall I pursue, Captain?
Negative. Let them go.
Captain, they're gonna report back in!
We're not going to murder anyone. Is that understood, Shran?
Understood, Captain.
Stand down from red alert. Ambassador?
Still here.
Any thoughts?
That was Commander Imran. He was the decorated Dominion war captain.
I remember Imran. He saved over 4 systems by
ramming his ship into a Dominion command vessel.
Then he's dead.
Then our intelligence is incorrect.
No, your intelligence is correct. Imran is dead.
Then how do you explain that guy? He can't just go poof and appear.
He said that Earth is under Romulan control.
Lieutenant?
I'm sorry, sir, but it was something Imran said. He said that we violated their borders, so that means Earth is under Romulan control.
Zell, scan Earth. Population, atmospheric status, land masses. Get me as much information as possible.
Are you on to something, Captain?
Stand by, Shran. Please be wrong, please be wrong. Please be wrong.
Population roughly 3.7 billion. However, 1.5 billion is Romulan and the remaining is human. Atmospheric status is highly polluted with carbon dioxide and radioactive elements. The land masses are greatly reduced due to natural erosion, but there are signs of strip mining for natural resources.
Just what I was afraid of.
It's a penal planet.
It's a typical Romulan tactic for conquered worlds. Use the population as slaves to strip mine and gather natural resources and workers.
I thought your people stopped using that tactic 50 years ago.
This Romulan government clearly hasn't evolved past that practice. It's cruel and unkind.
Captain, the computer has finished processing the communication signals we picked up.
Report.
Most of the communications are of prisoner counts and shipments.
On speakers.
I'm telling you, the satellite system showed an anomaly forming next to the moon.
That simply could have been another Romulan cargo carrier cloaking.
But it's still there!
Then what do you...
Sir, there's some kind of antimatter explosion near the moon!
Antimatter? You check your readings. You can't be right.
That's it. The other signals were overlapping the rest of the communication.
So they know where we are on the surface.
And it seems that people have begun to actively resist the penal government.
Captain, we're being hailed from the surface.
On speakers.
To the starship in orbit around the satellite known as Luna. Please, respond.
Shall I open a channel, Captain?
Shall I remind the captain that the Prime Directive...
Screw the Prime Directive! Those people down there need our help. We can't just...
Shran, you are out of line. Starfleet regulations clearly state...
Blast regulations. We all know how Romulans treat their penal planets. No offense, Ambassador.
None taken.
Be that as it may, we cannot simply abandon the rules and regulations that we are sworn to uphold.
Nevertheless, open a channel.
Channel open, Captain.
This is Captain Felicia Kennedy aboard the starship in orbit. To whom am I speaking?
Call me Jack.
All right, Jack. It seems you've discovered us.
Indeed, Captain. I'm assuming you're responsible for the antimatter explosion in orbit?
Correct. We were attacked by a Romulan ship. We damaged it, and it's retreating.
You caused the Romulan ship to retreat?
Yes, we did.
No one has ever caused a Romulan ship to retreat. Not for over 200 years.
200 years?
Not since they sent the Enterprise and the Columbia running with their tails stuck between their legs.
Captain Archer ran away?
Well, sort of. Enterprise and Columbia and a handful of in-system ships retreated toward the Briar Patch system with a few convoy ships. It's a system several dozen light years away from the Romulan border.
We're aware. So that explains that.
I'm sorry, what was that? Your transmission went silent, Captain.
My apologies, Jack. Please, what is the situation on Earth?
Not good. Several counties are faced with starvation, others have been reduced to rubble by Romulan soldiers, and most of our natural resources have been strip mined.
It's very unfortunate to hear that, Jack.
Captain, our transmissions are probably being monitored. Perhaps we could continue this conversation in person.
Stand by.
Most intriguing, Captain. Our histories are nearly identical until the Romulan attack on Earth. In our universe, the Romulans were pushed back by Archer. Here, Archer was forced back.
A single moment in history can cause massive differences. We've seen this happen with the different universe encounters with Kirk and Cisco.
Opinions?
I say we go down there, see if we can help.
I recommend caution. We don't know who or what their intentions are.
Which is exactly why we need to go down there.
Shran, calm yourself.
I agree. We need to go down there. Until the QSD is fixed, we need to know what we're up against and who we can trust.
Ambassador.
Captain?
You're as much a part of this crew now as ever. Your thoughts?
I agree with Commander McClaw. Caution is needed. However, I agree with Tron. We need to go down to see if there is anything we can do to help. Doing otherwise would simply be unethical.
Well then. Kennedy to sickbay. Dr. O'Connor?
O'Connor here.
Doctor, meet me and an away team in Transporter Room 3. We're beaming to the surface.
Understood, Captain.
Reopen the channel.
Well, Captain, your decision?
Myself and a small away team will be beaming to the surface. Just send us your coordinates.
Thank you, Captain. I'm transmitting our coordinates to you now.
I look forward to meeting you, Jack. Kennedy out.
See you soon.
Wiseman, Zell, Ambassador. You're with me. You have the bridge, Commander.
Captain, be cautious.
We will. Deck 6.
What do you expect to find, Captain?
I honestly don't know, Lieutenant.
A word of advice, Captain. If any Romulan soldiers or patrols spot us, allow me to do the talking.
Reading my thoughts, Ambassador?
Reading your thoughts, Captain?
Never mind. Earth saying.
Do you expect this to be some sort of trap?
I doubt it. After all, no one even knew we were here until we were here.
Not to mention you sounded genuinely shocked to hear a Romulan ship was beaten back.
Makes me wonder what the rest of the quadrant is like.
I imagine we'll find out when we get down there.
Captain, I'm all ready to go. And this is one of my aides.
All right. Have you received the transport coordinates?
Aye, Captain. Coordinates locked in and standing by.
Let's get to it then. Everyone on the pad.
There's no telling what we'll find down there. And if the atmosphere is as poisoned as the sensors say, we're gonna need inoculations. Routinely.
You packed accordingly then.
All the way down to my cotton underwear, Captain. What?
Energize, please.
Welcome to Earth, Captain. Now, if you could please stay where you are. We don't want any accidents.
You have been listening to Star Trek Lost Universe, Episode 1, Lost Universe. Written and directed by Jeff Lincoln. Featured in the cast were Silas Carter as Captain Felicia Kennedy, Miles Rand as Commander Placard, Chloe Hatherley as Lieutenant Commander Sophia Wiseman. Laurie Smith as Lieutenant Commander Ashley Scott. Lana as Ambassador Rattay. Joe Harrison as the Romulan Praetor. Jeff Lincoln as Lieutenant Kalar Shran. Justin Cabanting as Dr. O'Connor. Aaron McDonald as Lieutenant Commander Karina Zell. Alejandro Castro as Thomas. Corey Holton as Jack. Andrew Mims as Captain Immoran. And Taylor Brand as the Transporter Chief. Star Trek is copyright to CBS and Paramount Pictures. Any infringing claims are unintended, including but not limited to music and sound effects. This non-profit production is created for the enjoyment of Star Trek fans around the world. Star Trek Lost Universe will continue in Episode 2, Fight or Flight, coming soon to StarForce Media.